Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back, everyone, to today's Explainer, where we're going to absolutely break down the ultimate blueprint of sitemaps in modern SEO. If you're seriously focused on getting your website seen and ranked in 2026, I know you've probably heard the terms XML and HTML sitemaps thrown around. Well, today we are going completely under the hood. We're going to see exactly how these tools function, why they actually matter, and how to use them effectively without wasting your precious time on outdated tactics.
So here's the core question on literally every digital marketer and webmaster's mind right now. XML versus HTML sitemaps. Do you still actually need both of them in 2026? Look, the short answer is yes, they do still exist, but their roles have evolved so dramatically over the last decade. I mean, we aren't building websites the same way we did 10 years ago, right? And search engines definitely aren't crawling them the same way either. So to really master modern SEO, we've got to understand the totally distinct purposes these two formats serve today.
That brings us to Section 1, the Great Sitemap Debate. Let's dissect the foundational differences between the two.
First up is the XML sitemap. Now, the XML sitemap is essentially a raw data file. It's a list of important URLs designed primarily, and I literally cannot stress this enough, to help search engines discover and crawl your content efficiently. This is absolutely not built for human eyes. It's a highly structured piece of code living in the background on your server that communicates directly with bots, basically telling them exactly where your most valuable pages live. On the flip side, we have the HTML sitemap. In direct contrast to the XML version we just talked about, the HTML sitemap is a structured list of pages designed entirely for human users to browse and find content on a website. You know the ones. You've probably seen them linked at the very bottom of a website's footer, where you click it and it opens up to this massive bulleted list of every single page on the site. It's basically the human-readable counterpart to that XML file.
Moving on to Section 2, Meet the XML Sitemap. Let's take a much deeper look at exactly when and why this format truly shines in modern SEO.
Now, Google is incredibly smart, right? It can generally find your pages just by naturally following internal links from one page to another. But an XML sitemap becomes vitally important in a few very specific scenarios. If you have a massive enterprise-level website with thousands of pages, a brand new website with zero external backlinks pointing to it, maybe a huge e-commerce store with constantly fluctuating inventory, or even just pages with really poor natural navigation, well, these are the ideal use cases where an XML sitemap isn't just helpful, it's absolutely essential. It acts as a direct line of communication to the crawler.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept. Think of an XML sitemap as a highly optimized roadmap for search engine crawlers. Imagine literally handing Google a precise GPS coordinate system for your entire digital property. Instead of forcing the bot to just kind of wander around your site, hoping it organically stumbles upon your newest blog post or product page, you're handing it a direct, hyper-efficient route to the exact content you want discovered.
All right, Section 3, the fate of HTML sitemaps. Let's pivot and see what happened to these user-facing pages over years of SEO evolution.
Well, years ago, HTML sitemaps were practically mandatory because, frankly, website navigation just wasn't that great. Users literally needed a directory just to find what they were looking for. Today, that has completely changed. Modern web design and user experience features have effectively completely replaced the HTML sitemap. We've got massive, intuitive drop-down navigation menus, incredibly fast and accurate site search functionality, clear breadcrumb trails right at the top of the page, and highly strategic internal linking. All of these features have essentially rendered a dedicated HTML sitemap completely obsolete for everyday visitors.
Which naturally leads us to the most practical, bottom-line question you can ask. So which one is a must? I mean, if you're managing a site, auditing a client's property, or just trying to get your own startup off the ground, where should you actually invest your time and resources? Let's resolve this great sitemap debate once and for all.
Okay, so here's the crucial point. The XML sitemap is the definitive winner. It is essential technical SEO. If you can only have one, you absolutely must choose XML. You generate one, and you submit it directly to tools like Google Search Console. It's just not optional if you want efficient discovery. The HTML sitemap, on the other hand, that's been demoted to a purely optional usability feature. Unless you're running some massive website with tens of thousands of deeply nested pages, think like Wikipedia or a massive government portal, you can safely skip the HTML sitemap today. Choose XML every single time.
Okay, Section 4, Busting the Indexing Myth. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is it gets into a fundamental truth that so many people misunderstand.
Here is the ultimate myth-busting question that trips up countless beginners and frankly even a ton of intermediate SEO practitioners. Does submitting a perfect, error-free XML sitemap to Google actually guarantee that your pages will be indexed and show up in the search results?
No, it absolutely does not.
Let's look at the reality of how modern Google actually works. Search engines have become incredibly sophisticated at discovering content organically. They find your pages by crawling internal links, parsing your navigation menus, following those breadcrumbs, and most importantly, tracking external backlinks from other websites. The truth is, Google is already a highly effective discovery machine all on its own.
So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding what your XML sitemap actually does rather than what you might blindly hope it does. It helps discovery. It greatly improves crawl efficiency, literally saving Google's bots time and server resources. It explicitly tells Google which URLs you believe exist and matter. And it provides vital metadata, like the exact date a page was last modified. But notice what isn't on this list. It does not force Google to actually care about the page.
The stark reality of modern SEO is exactly this. An exceptionally written, highly valuable page can be easily indexed naturally, entirely without a sitemap. Conversely, a thin, low-quality, or maybe completely duplicate page can sit proudly in your perfectly formatted XML sitemap. And guess what? Google will gladly ignore it. It will remain completely unindexed. Being on the list is not a VIP pass, folks. It's just an introduction. If Google considers the content lacking in value, your sitemap won't save it.
Bringing us to our final takeaway in Section 5, content keeps you ranked. Let's bring the focus back to the ultimate driver of search visibility.
I really want you to remember this rule. A sitemap is a roadmap. It is not a ranking factor. Submitting a sitemap will never, ever magically push you from page 2 to page 1. Its entire job is just efficient discovery. It's designed to support a strong website structure. It's not meant to act as a band-aid for a broken one, and it definitely won't replace high-quality, relevant content. The relevance and the actual value of what you publish, that is what will always determine your ranking.
I want to leave you with this final, incredibly important thought that summarizes everything we've talked about today. A sitemap helps Google find your pages. Great content gives Google a reason to keep them in the index. Use your XML sitemap to open the door, absolutely. But ask yourself right now, when Google walks through that door onto your site today, is your content actually good enough to make them stay? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, everyone. Keep learning, keep optimizing, and I'll catch you next time.